Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things rugby union, and in this case, Super Rugby Union. And once again, I'm joined in studio by my good friend Pity Weepu. Pity, welcome back.
Chirp. Actually, no.
What?
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, what?
No, I was going to say, well, you welcome back.
Well, I am back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Back.
Oh, well, thank you. And welcome back to our good friend up in Auckland, Ben Seal of Surly Talk Sports. Surly, welcome back, bro.
Yeah, strong start, lads. If that's the benchmark for how the rest of this pod is going to go, the listeners are in for an absolute treat.
Oh, I intend to make a big impact off the bench, just like Balin Sullivan did last weekend. We'll get to that a wee bit later on. But should we have a look at last week's punting? I mean, it's not very good.
Does at least get one?
Oh, yeah, there's a big bright spot on the horizon. Yeah, Carl came in and took over.
Yes.
Yeah, so he had a bet. His whole $100 went on the Blues to win by 1-12. Unfortunately, Blues were just a wee bit too good for the Force. So Carl is now down 300 for the season. Who else did we have last weekend? We had, Steve Devine.
Stevie D.
And, oh boy, did he swing for the fences. He went with 6 try scorers. Artie Severe, that was all right.
Yeah, they came in.
Hoskins Tutu.
No.
Naholo. Oh, no. He went off injured fairly early. Wright, Nadawa, and Ryan. So no good for Steve Devine. He's now down 400 for the season. Nothing from Surly last week, I don't think.
Nah, I wasn't on last week and I forgot to fire it through. Apologies, lads.
I put mine in, and I had two bets, the Drua to win, the Brumbies to win, and the Highlanders to win. Oh, no. $80 on that, and then I had a try scorer double, Logani Masi and Tangito, both to score tries. No, that was no good. So I'm up $395.58 for the season. And, oh, my goodness. Here we go.
He's done it.
Pretty Weepu. He had two bets. He had Blues to win by 1-12, Canes to win by 1-12, Moana to win by 13 or more. That was highly unlikely. But then he also had $50 on the Canes to win head-to-head. So he won $65.
Yeah!
Is that even a win?
I got a win! Woo!
You won $15 off your 50. I don't know if that counts, man.
So he's only down 835 for the season now.
Bring it straight back to reality. Get my good win and then unlucky oops.
Well, yeah, well, you've got to celebrate your small victories, don't you?
Yeah.
So, well done, Pity.
Thanks.
Crikey. Hopefully you can build on that and get a bit of momentum as we start to head into the business end of the season. Right. A few days ago, last weekend was May the 4th, and for a lot of fans out there, for a lot of Star Wars fans out there, May the 4th is a big, big date. So I thought that we would look at Star Wars from a Super Rugby point of view. And first of all, let's look at the Super Rugby competition overall. And I want you to tell me which Super Rugby franchise is the Evil Empire and which franchise are the Jedi Knights. We'll go up to you first, Surly. Who is the Evil Empire in terms of Super Rugby?
Well, it's controversial, lads. I've never watched a minute of any Star Wars movie, so I was all at sea here. I had to Google it, and I've worked out the Evil Empire are the Crusaders, and the Jedi Knights are every other Kiwi franchise trying to stop them from winning another competition, which is just the same old boring stuff.
I actually quite like that, and I think that might be a popular opinion, certainly in terms of the evil empire. Pity?
I was going to go with the Landers because they're not always in the top playoff stages, but they are known to shatter a few dreams. And then I've gone with the Jedi Knights Crusaders because they're always winning. Titles.
You've gone the other way.
Yes.
The Crusaders are the Jedi Knights.
He's trying to win the people of Canterbury
Yeah,
back.
I think he is. Yeah. It's not going to work, though.
No.
Crikey.
Not with used to around here.
No.
Definitely not.
Hell no. I've got to agree with Surly here. Definitely, the Crusaders are the evil empire. And it's just because because they've been so bloody good for such a long, long time.
Yeah.
And
it's not evil, though.
Well, no, but they turn some Jedi Knights into their evil empire. They grab them from outside of the area. So
it's basically, we just hate them that they always win. So, yeah, that's the only reason.
That's very well summed up there. Yeah, it is.
Oh, who's the...
What?
So you've gone with all the other franchises there?
Oh, it's the Jedi Knights?
Yes.
I might go with the Brumbies, actually. I might go with the Brumbies because I think that Stephen Larkham, he sort of looks a wee bit like Luke Skywalker. So we'll get to that a wee bit later on. But yeah, maybe the Brumbies are the Jedi Knights.
Headgear on or off?
How did it
go? Okay. We better get on to a bit of rugby before this really goes off the rails. And last week was round 12, and there are a number of teams that had to pick up wins, and there are a number of teams that did pick up wins. First of all, we start with the Blues hosting the Force, and under trying conditions, the Blues came out on top in the end, 40 points to 19, a fairly straightforward win for the Blues. Their set piece looked very, very good, I thought. And I guess they're still just outside the top 6 as we speak. But as we've mentioned before, they do have an easier run in, although they've got a tough matchup coming up this weekend. But the Blues, they did what they had to do. They got the dub, and they are starting to look very, very dangerous right now, Surly.
Yeah, they got exactly what they needed, right? The bonus point win, the 5 points to keep them in with a sniff. It wasn't all that easy. I thought for 50 minutes, the Force really showed up, and although the scoreline looks fairly one-sided, like there were some big collisions in there. The Force were certainly here to play because they're fighting for that final spot too. I just think like classy touches from Bodie Barrett. I thought the Blues loose forwards trio was really good. I was impressed with Cole Forbes out on the wing as well. Just some individual moments there where players stood up and really owned the moment, got the Blues across the line. But yeah, they needed that win. They did exactly what they had to do, like you said, Paulie, in really tough conditions up here in Auckland. Last week was a tough week for footy, plenty of rain, plenty of wind around. And now they have to go to Suva, which a few weeks ago we would have said was much preferred than going to Lautoka. But after the Drua tipped up the Reds on the weekend as well, the Blues certainly can't take this one lightly. But they won't be taking it lightly because literally their finals hopes rely on it.
The Blues, who are currently in 7th spot on the table, pity 2 points outside the top 6. In fact, they're 2 points behind Moana Pasifika. But their game against the Force and these sorts of games where you're sort of expected to win, I think the bookies had them as double-digit favourites to beat the Force. And in the end, they did it reasonably comfortably, although there were some tight spots in that match. But having looked back, the Blues are starting to bubble away quite nicely again as we hit the business end of the season.
I don't know if they are bubbling. If you... the Cesano try, just say that was allowed, I have a feeling that would have been a different game. I feel like the Force actually played really well and put a lot of pressure on the Blues. They were just lucky that Bodie's kicking game is outstanding at the moment. his cross kicks, his running game, and that's the Bodie that we're expecting. But I mean, like, if you take him out of the game and like limit his opportunities, I thought that's what they did pretty well. Bodie had to be a bit creative with his kicking game, and then when they did sort of breach, I felt that he came into his it came straight into his alley in terms of how he wanted to play. So running rugby, putting people into space and things like that. But yeah, I thought it was a tough game for the Blues. The scoreline doesn't reflect that, but like I thought the Force were in right up until I guess the last 10 minutes of that game, and that's when I thought they weren't able to claw it back. But I thought they were right in that game.
Surely, Tizano just can't stop scoring tries. We had Bradley Beal turn the clock back a few years there. Princep has been very, very good for the Force as well. There's a lot of things to like about this Force team.
Yeah, they just seem like a tough side, don't they? Like they've clearly bought in. They're all in it together. They've acquired a few players over the off-season through the Rebels or other super teams. But when you look at them on paper, apart from someone like Tizano, Donaldson, there's a couple guys in there that most footy fans would know, but I think the majority of them are names for the purists. So I think a lot of fans have been impressed with, I guess, the fringe guys, they're non-superstar players, and how well they've gone this year. Like, they're a tough team to take on, especially at home, and I think their last few games away have been big improvements as well. So they've kind of been that sleeping achiever in this Super Rugby season. Everyone had them down the bottom of the ladder. They still find themselves in the playoff hunt. I just think their run home is too tough. Like, they got the Brumbies this week at home, which is literally do or die for them. That they played their easier games at the start of the season, and it's starting to take a toll on it now that perhaps they just don't have that depth that other teams have. But someone like Tizano, geez, he's a great watch. He's a greedy fella, especially around the try line. He loves scoring tries, but man, chuck him in a Wallabies jersey again this year. I'll be really keen to see how he goes.
It's okay being greedy if you score the tries, and that's one thing that he is doing, Tizano. He knows the way to the try line, and he's very, very good when they get very close to it. So, yeah, he has been a bit of a standout for the Force amongst others. If we move on to the second game of the round, and this was a huge, huge game in Suva, the Drua up against the Reds. The Reds, of course, coming off a big win the week before, but look, we had to wait until the very last play of the game, but the Drua got home in the end, just upset the apple cart a wee bit. And look, they thoroughly deserved their win, Surly.
Yeah, they did. This was a typical, like when you think of a drill game, this is exactly what you expect, right? It goes down to the last play. You got tight forwards running like outside backs. That number 6, Wonga, I think his name is. Man, he is a freak. He would look great on the wing, let alone in the 6 jersey. He's physical, but his skill set, his footwork, it's just outstanding. And I expected the Reds to go over to Suva and get the win there just based off the Drewers' record and how good the Reds have been this year. And well done to the Drewer. They stayed in the fight. They played running rugby like they love to do. Once they score first in a game, they're there to play, because then the crowd goes with them, the momentum, the confidence, the belief really starts to peak. And yeah, this was a great watch. I only watched the extended highlights, 12 or 13 minutes of this, but geez, you're thinking there's no way they can score from this once the highlight starts, and then they go 60 or 70 meters and it's a beautiful team try. On their day, they're probably the best team in the comp to watch entertainment-wise.
Pity the Drua, very, very good last weekend, and they do ride the crowd very much. So if they stay in games, the crowd does, to a certain extent, lift them to help them get over the line. Their set piece struggled at times, though, and that might be an area that the Blues look to exploit this weekend. But you can't take the win away from the Drua, though. They were very, very good. They played right until the final whistle, and they got the points when they needed them.
Yeah, I think we've all talked about them being away from Lautoka. That it's not the same. But I mean, like, for them to go over there to play at home in Suva and get the dub against the Reds, who have been in pretty good form. and stay in the fight right to the end. But I don't think it matters whether they're ahead on the scoreboard or whether they're losing. The fan base over there is huge, and it doesn't matter if they're losing. They're just excited just to have, I'd say, just to have good rugby in front of their live in front of them. So, yeah, I think this week. I still think this week will be a tough one for the Blues. I know they're not in Lautuka for the draw, but it'll definitely be a game that they need to definitely walk away with 5 points.
Next game of the round was arguably the pick of the round, the Hurricanes hosting the Chiefs, and the Chiefs, who got off to a quick start but just got run down by the Canes. And I wonder how much D-Mac and Anton Leonard-Brown missing really, I guess, cost the Chiefs late in that game, Surely.
Yeah, they're two massive names for sure. One thing I was really impressed with from the Canes is, we've seen this Chiefs bench have a massive impact. They've been the team that's been coming home in the second half and dominating, bringing the likes of Taukiaho, Xavier Rowe, quality footballers, Wallace Satiti. These guys are like world-class players, and they've been rolling them off and finishing the game so well. But the Canes, they flexed their own bench as well. They had Tossie, an All Black prop, on the bench. They had Numia, they had quality players, and they were able to come on and dominate that second half. 4 tries to none, all to Sullivan, I think, which was an outstanding knock for him, and incredibly gutted to see Naholo ruled out, because for me, he was in a fight, him and 2 other Fijian flyers, and Tavatava Nawai and Amoni Narawa, to try and wear that Mark Talia All Black jersey. And now I don't think Naholo will be in the mixer because it seemed like a fairly serious injury, but that was gutting. Sullivan came on, played great. I just thought the Canes, that they wanted this more. You can tell that this game meant a lot to them. They're right on the fringe of that 6-2, and now it looks like they've probably cemented themselves in the playoff race. So well done to them. A strong performance against the quality Chiefs side, who was lacking some polish for sure. But the Canes, playing against the team that's presented up against them, and they were the better side. So, yeah, full credit. The Tinny House, A tough place to go at the end of the year.
Pity, 2 big wins by the Hurricanes over the last couple of weeks, over in Canberra against the Brumbies, and then returning home to take on the top of the table Chiefs, picking up 2 big wins. That could be the turning point of the season for the Canes. Those are huge statement wins.
Well, I think that midfield pairing of
Billy
Riley and Billy has been huge. I think it just brought a different dynamic to what we've been seeing for majority of the season, and I think the 2 of them working together has been really really well, or just gelling really well. I know they've got the bye this week. So they get a chance to sort of recoup and get themselves ready for another, I guess the finishing stages of this competition, and they need to, because they haven't got an easy road. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one for them to finish off with. But I mean, yeah, over the weekend, Proctor's been huge, given those opportunities, and I think he's been surely missed definitely in the earlier stages. Like, he's a different dynamic to Sullivan and Umanga Jensen in terms of how he plays. So it's good to see him back out on the field, and hopefully they can continue this combination and the way that they're playing.
Surely, he certainly does seem to tighten up that midfield defense, Billy, and he must be sort of knocking on the door of All Black selection when we get to that time of the season.
100%. I thought he was unlucky not to get more opportunities last year. Like you said, defensively, he's so strong. And then as a distributor, which you want as a 13, like, it's probably one of the hardest places to defend, and it's also vital in unlocking your attack and putting away your outside backs. And when you look at the All Blacks, our strength is across the park, but our outsides are so deadly. And having someone like Proctor there with his ball playing ability and just the way he glides, like, you can tell he's just got such a great awareness for the game. So, yeah, I'm a big Proctor fan. I too have loved that midfield combo, and I've loved seeing Ruben Love with ball in hand more and showing off his playmaking ability too. And we've said it for a long time now, to stand out to these All Black coaches, they want versatile players that can play multiple positions, and Ruben's showing that he's not just a great 15, he's a handy 10 as well.
Balin Sullivan, not only does he score he comes off the bench and he scores 4 tries. Now, there was a power play that the bookies put up. Any player to score a hat-trick, I think it was paying around $12, and plenty of punters jumped on. I don't know if they knew that Balin Sullivan was going to have an absolute...
Surely not.
absolutely sure. But look, he put himself in the right position at times. His combination with Ruben Love, with that cross kick, Ruben makes that kick look real easy, but it's it's quite easy to either undercook it slightly so that the defense has time to get it doesn't go deep enough, or to overcook it and for it to go out on the full. He put that right on Balin Sullivan's chest. Balin caught the ball, strolled over, but the lines that Balin was running as well were very good. So he thoroughly deserved those 4 tries. And those punters that did back any player to score a hat-trick, well done to you. I don't know where you saw that coming from. But Sullivan was very good. Yeah, I guess as a winger, you don't expect to be going on until maybe the last 20, 15 minutes of the game. He was on in that first half, and he was ready to go.
Yeah, I think you always try and prepare yourself for whenever you get on the field. So you obviously he would have done his prep work leading up to the game in terms of whether he's in the midfield or on the wing. So for him to understand and make those connections, especially with that, like you said, with that cross kickers, I think he had enough room. He could have run in if it dropped short or not, because there was a lot of defence that was pushed in from the hard work of the forwards, and then Ruben, all he had to do was put the ball to foot, and then Balin was pretty much sorted. But I mean, yeah, just his awareness, and like most wingers, like the best wingers are the ones that pop up in the middle of the field that aren't supposed to be there. They go looking for work. You know, I always try and gauge on when Zach Guilford was playing, and you know, he would always be on the wrong side of the field, and then all of a sudden the ball goes back to his wing and he's popped back up in the right side of the field and say, hang on, you were just on the other side of the field. So, you know, they're not just sort of sitting on the wing trying to hold the defence out wide or stretch the defence. They're actually going out around looking for work up the middle and trying to help out where they can. So for him to be in the right place at the right time, it shows. And I mean, that grubber for him to slide onto as well, you know, that wasn't planned. That would have been just I don't think I would have yelled at, "Oi, put one behind." It would have been a little noise or something like that, and the reaction to execute was spot on.
Quick question, Pity. We see now the crossfield kick, it's a staple. It's a must-have tool for first fives, isn't it? You see Damien do it so well. You see Bodie do it so well. Ruben Love's doing it now. Was it practiced much in your day? Because it used to be like this wow play. Now it's something you have to have as part of your kicking game.
Nah, it definitely was something that we practiced because it was another tool, not just for the nines, but also for our first 5/8s, or even the 15 if the 15 was out there at first 5/8. And it changes the mindset of the defence. So if there's that space there, we try and take it just to see the reaction of what the defence does. So as a winger, you might be tight, so there's a lot of space that they've got to cover. So for us to kick into that space, that winger actually has to move his positioning, and then that's where you start seeing opportunities where we can actually run with the ball because he's sitting slightly back, or if we stretch our wingers right on the touchline again, that pushes that winger over, so there's space actually in behind. So it tries to change different pictures. So if you execute it really well, that winger will start changing where he stands out on the field. So it's definitely handy to have up your sleeve. And if you don't have it, that's something you need to practice.
Did you ever play with the leather ball?
No, I used to run around and carry one as a ball boy. back in the day when Ken Laban was my captain in the Wainua Lions.
Rugby League.
Yeah, Rugby League.
Rugby League. Were you a ball boy for the Wainui Lions?
Yes, I was.
Were you?
A couple games up at Carlaw Park for.
Oh, did you
Red
go
Cup.
up to Auckland? They won a couple of those too.
They did.
Yeah.
There's a few tricks that we had up our sleeve too, as a ball boy.
Oh, who was in that team? Oh,
Lomax
Barty
brothers.
Lomax, Barty.
Barty was there.
Yogi, was Yogi in that team?
Yogi Rogers, the Partier brothers, Dwayne Krasinski, Ellie Davies, Jason Gilbert, Alan Jackson.
I want to hear about these tricks as the ball boy. What's the
If we were a bit tired, I used to
the ball boy or the players?
The players. Players, if it was like a repeat set, to stop the play, I'd kick the ball onto the field. Then the ref will have to stop the play,
get the ball off, get the second ball off.
The boys will reset their defence, and then have a quick break, and then I'd never growl a sort of 7-year-old boy, surely.
Oh, sorry, sir.
I remember my mate was a ball boy for a Warriors Manly game, and he refused to give the ball to Hopewadi, and he got sprayed, and there was like this big thing in the Herald. Hopewadi had to apologise to him. So it turns out someone will spray a 7-year-old. Pity, you were just lucky.
Back in those days.
Right, back to the rugby. And second to last game of the round was the Brumbies up against the Waratahs. And although the Waratahs have been very, very good, especially at home, and they kept this game close for a while, in the end, the class prevailed. And I think we know that the Brumbies are once again the best team in Australia, Surly.
Yeah, I think they've shown that, and there's been times throughout this competition where we've thought it was the Reds or the Tars, but the ever consistent Brumbies just playing their style of footy. You know, they've got a really strong forward pack, really good at set piece, rolling maul, couple exciting backs as well, especially out wide. But yeah, the Tars for me, like they're going to look back on some away games and just think that that was where their season went past them. Like they're 100% win at home and 100% loss rate away from home. How you can beat the Chiefs at home and then come over here and lose to Moana, etc., which Moana are a quality side, but in years gone by, they would have really targeted games like that. So if you want to be in this competition, you've got to win games on the road, and you can't go 0 from 5 and hope to be in the mixer. So they've got a really big game this week as well, up against the Reds at home. They need to win that, or else it's done deal for them, I reckon.
It was a bit one of those, I guess to start with, it was one of those Australian derbies where it's fairly tight, but in the end, the Brumbies just showed their class against the Tars last weekend. Pity.
Yeah, we know it's not easy to go to Canberra and get a dub, and obviously the Canes did that the week before, so they'll be hurting, and definitely wanted to make sure they got that right. But I mean, we've always talked about their consistency. They've always been in the playoff rounds and stages of Super Rugby. It's like when it gets to the back end of a season, they actually sort of switch into a different mode. Where they start prepping themselves for finals footy, and I guess some of this would have been a dress rehearsal for them if they get that opportunity to host a quarter-final, semi-final, to make sure that they get that right. So, like Shirley said, the Tars have been awesome at home. When they go away, they've been rubbish. And if they can actually start working on going away and actually getting the win, I feel like they'll be a bit more confident and feel more confident with the wins not being at home. So maybe it's something that they definitely need to look at, especially going into next year. And but they've still got a few games to go. So hopefully that they can get 20 points out of it, max points. If not, well, the season might be gone.
Righty-ho. Final game of the round, and we weren't disappointed. This was a fantastic game of footy. The Highlanders hosting Moana Pasifika, and once again, well, first of all, Artie Severe was just absolutely huge. He did pretty much everything on the field that could be done, and Moana Pasifika, This will be a game that the Highlanders look back on. And as you say, Surly, Moana Pasifika aren't an easy team to beat. But the Highlanders will look back on this game. And if they do miss out on making the top 6, they could probably pinpoint this game because they would be just on the outskirts of the top 6 right now if they had come away with a dub. But in the end, Moana Pasifika,
Yeah, this was a game I think everyone had circled to watch. Like Moana down in Dunedin, under the roof. Their style of play just suits those conditions perfectly. Moana playing for a chance to put themselves in playoff position for the first time in their franchise history, led by Adi Savea. He's showing he's got a kicking game too. Look, last week he was robbed of a no try off that chip and chase. This week he decided to go for the ground, went along for the grubber. He's got the 7 on his back. Bloke thinks he's Luke Metcalf, who's showing off the short kicking game in the red zone. It's great to see, but the impact he's had on this franchise on and off the field, like he's putting together one of the great Super Rugby seasons that we have ever seen. And he has turned this franchise into a genuine finals contender. And they're just so good to watch. The passion they play with, the bond, the unity, the culture they have amongst that team. Their team song is elite. It brings a smile to my face every time they win, just because I know I'm going to see that clip on social media with the custom Moana wheelie bin now, which is great to see too. But it makes you excited for the next few years for them as a franchise as well, because now other people want to get aboard this Moana wagon. And you've got to put it down a lot to the impact of Adi and how good he's been. But I was so worried last 5 minutes. I thought this game had been taken from them. And in years gone by, they wouldn't have bounced back and scored that last try. And they got that through pure desire, not giving up on a play. They just wanted to win, and that's exactly what they got. So I'm so stoked for them. I really hope that they can make it, even if it's at the expense of the Blues or another Kiwi team. I really want to see Moana in the finals.
But Pete, right now, Moana Pasifika are in the finals. They're in the 6th position with 24 points, only just ahead of the Blues on 22. But they thoroughly deserve their position in that top 6 at the moment.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, like Sally said, Artie's been huge for them. But I feel like the style of footy that they've been playing, it's not, they've gone from just smash and bash and like to actually having a bit of structure. Having a bit of structure actually helps them out quite a bit because it gives them targets and opportunities to show their flair, not only from just carrying, getting over the advantage line, strong carries and cleaning out and getting rid of the ball. But when the actual defense opens up, they've got strike power across the board. Like Lolomilo was huge, especially on that little grubber. That was last minute to chase that, go right to the dead ball line and actually get there was huge. But not only, like Silly said, the desire, the fight to win. I think the first game they played against each other was pretty much the same thing. The only outcome was that the Landers ended up winning. But the battle between Adi and Tavatava Nawa, that breakdown, that was huge. Tavatava Nawa was massive for the Landers. I'm surprised he hasn't been pushed into the side of the scrum, to be honest. He'll be like another Bortia who plays in the midfield but can play at 7 as well. But huge. I think there was a passage of play where Moana turned the ball over, they carried it, and then straight away Tavatava Nawa turned the ball over and won it back for the Landers. So, you know, it was a massive game for Moana, and grateful that they got the dub.
Yeah, well, that charge down try, late in the game, I think sort of personified the desire that Moana Pasifika had. It's easy to show desire when you've got the ball in hand. You actually find out how much sort of grit and want a team has when they don't have the ball. And that was it there. If they don't charge that down, that kick goes down past halfway, something like that. They've got to line out back down there somewhere. Small things like that in the game have a big influence on the outcome. And I thought that their desire, but I'm not saying that there wasn't any desire there from the Highlanders, but you could tell that Moana Pasifika were dead serious and very, very keen to pick up the win. It was a great game all over.
I think part of it too is like their coaching staff. Well, they've got a pretty good coaching staff, and they're learning about their culture as well. Like Tana, doing a lot of work in the background with the boys in terms of representation for the Pasifika people. But I feel like the balance between their coaches in terms of how they pulling this team together and what they can get out of them has been huge. And I don't think there's been too many major injuries, especially to their spine, which has been good. Having that consistency of those boys on the field consistently has been huge for them as well.
Righty-ho. Let's get back to May the 4th be with you. And we'll stick with that theme. And we had a look at the franchises and which one would be the Evil Empire, who would be the Jedi Knights. Now let's look at some players. Which Super Rugby player, past or present, would be Luke Skywalker? I've already thrown my one out there. He was the number 10 for the Brumbies. In fact, you would have played a few games against him, Pity.
Yep.
So let's go up to Surly first. Who was your Luke Skywalker?
Yeah, well,
For someone who's never watched Star Wars.
Yeah, well, like I said, I haven't watched it, so I really struggled with these. In fact, I didn't have anyone, so I'm just making them up on the spot. But from what I understand, Luke Skywalker was the young buck coming through, a bit of the chosen one. So I think Ruben Love's got a bit of Luke Skywalker about him at the moment. And he is trying to take down both the Crusaders and the Chiefs, the incumbent 10 and Damian McKenzie. Ruben Love's that young boy coming through that can play 10-15 as well, and he's trying to take down the existing establishment and become the superhero coming through. So I actually think from some photos I've seen, he looks a bit Luke Skywalker-ish as well.
That's not a bad call. Quite like that one. What about you, bro?
I'm dealing with two. One would be Desi, and the other one would be Jonah.
Desi.
Dan Carter.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, I can understand that. Jonah, he just looks a bit too big to be Luke Skywalker for my... He would be like...
Yeah, but he was the chosen one that created... put us on the map. Rugby in general, he put rugby on the map.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not looking about the
size or the features, because he would be Luke Skywalker on roids. Yeah. So, but I do I understand where you're coming from. Okay, who would be Darth Vader?
Oh, I went for a couple South African lads there who popped up in my mind. I had Bucky's Water, I had Schalkberger, I have Evan Etzebeth. Those are just three guys that loved watching them play. Geez, they were masters of the dark arts, and they frustrated me so much as well. And they just broke our hearts so many times as well. So I had those three.
I'm thinking along the same lines as Surly. I went Victor Matfield because it seemed like he had the power of the Force. Like they would throw the ball into the line out and it looked like it was going nowhere near him. And then it just looked like he was able to make the ball sort of track towards where he was. It's just that he had such a long reach that his hand put his big hand out and there it was. The ball was in his hand. They had another line out win. So yeah, Victor Matfield was Darth Vader for me.
I had Bucky's as well.
Bucky's.
Especially when he got Jimmy with a butte. Poor Jimmy.
Oh, gee.
And the other one would be Chris Jack, because he was so annoying. around the field, he'd just put you off your game, which was so annoying. But yeah.
Okay, who was Chewbacca?
Well, I only know him for the noise he makes, and I could imagine Brad Thorne making that noise every time he ran into contact or tackled someone. So, yeah, I had Big Brad Thorne, one of the great dual code players to ever lace up the boots. And, yeah, he was as tough as nails, and I could just imagine him making that sound that Paulie's going to demonstrate now for us.
What was that?
That was Chewbacca with a cold.
Sounded like a full-time siren.
Oh, I was just going to go with any halfback because they love to No, including myself.
Yes.
When I played.
Yeah.
Constantly chewing the ear off of the referee, opposition, anyone.
And the forward pack.
Yep, and the forwards.
Oh, I was going to go Sam Whitelock, but yeah, let's move on. Last one, R2D2.
Well, he was the brains, right? He was a computer programmer. So I had Graham Henry just because, similar in stature. Sir Graham, great bloke. Wasn't the biggest human being in terms of height, was he? And he was the brains of the operation that led the All Blacks many victories in a pretty special period. So, I had Graham Henry there, just, with all the programming, all the intel locked into his brain.
Pretty.
Smithy. Smithy for me.
Oh, gee, we're not too far away, to be fair.
Smithy's.
You're talking Aaron.
Oh, what?
No, he's talking the goat of coaching, or the one who's regarded as the smartest coach ever.
Oh, no, we're miles away.
Yeah.
Who did you have? Pity.
No.
Oh, hell no.
I had Stu Forster.
Oh.
Yeah, because I remember Mark Ellis used to call him the poisoned dwarf, I think. Well, that's what he used to call him. So I just thought that Stu Forster would probably fit in R2D2 and he could program him from the inside.
Interesting.
Okay. We'll move on.
Yeah, I don't think you repeat that statement.
Wow.
Rightio.
What?
Pause.
Okay. Only 4 games this weekend.
Move on, yeah.
We'll start with the first game, and it's a big one across the Pacific. The Fijian Drua hosting the Blues. The Drua, $2.80. Outsiders in Suva against the Blues, $1.40. The Drua are 6.5-point underdogs at home. The total is set at 56.5. Look, there's been a bit of early money for the Drua at $2.80, Surly.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago I would have had the Blues in this for sure, but a Drua team that put away a good red side last week, and they'll be feeling confident about that heading back to the same venue. The way they played was very impressive, and they'll like their chances at home. No doubt a big crowd yet again as well, and a chance to end the Blues season, which always motivates teams. If you're playing the defending champs and you can send them packing early, that adds a bit of spice to things as well. I will back the Blues, but I think this is an alternative line, one where you can sit back, hope the Drua keep it close, and still enjoy the entertaining style of footy they play. I just think Bodie Barrett and his playmaking at the moment, his vision, the way he's seeing the game, he'll be too classy and get them across the line, but I do expect it to be pretty close.
Pity, do you give the Drua a chance at home at around $2.80?
Just looking at the weather forecast, it says it's supposed to rain.
Oi.
Is that good for the Drua? The rain usually brings teams closer together, although when you look at the Drua,
they don't play.
They
play like it's dry no matter what.
They'll throw it around. It doesn't matter what sort of conditions.
Yeah, I do feel like Suva, it will be tough for the Blues, but yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one because just checking the weather forecast, and it's supposed to rain, and they like running around in the wet weather, and it doesn't bother them. But yeah, I think the bookies might have this right. I think the Blues should. Well, they need to win, to be fair. And if they continue with the style of footy that they've been playing, where Bodie's kicking game has been huge, his running game and organisation has been massive. With Hoskins doing the work up the front with the boys. Let's just hope Angus Tarvell doesn't try and kick the ball out this week. Sorry, Gus.
It was a nice swing of the boot, to be fair.
He would have been pissed off about that.
It's a whiskey. Did he have to shout a whiskey to everyone?
Oh, surely.
Man. Second game, it's a big Australian derby, and boy, oh boy, if there's one team the Waratahs don't like losing to, it's the Reds and vice versa. The Tars at home, but they're outsiders here, $2.45. The Reds are $1.50. They're a 5.5-point underdog. The Waratahs at home, the game total set at 55.5. and the Tars are outside the top 6 at the moment, so this is a vital game for them. Can you see an upset here, Surly?
Geez, they'll be relieved it's at home, won't they? And that gives them every shot at keeping their season alive. Reds will be stinging. They had to travel back from Suva as well, which probably takes a little toll on the body. A physical encounter where they had to clock up plenty of Ks too. The Tars, they'll be battered and bruised as well. Brumbies put them to the sword, so they'll be wanting to bounce back. This is, as big as a rivalry as you get, especially in the Aussie franchises. So I think the Tars will definitely keep it close. I think this one will go down to the wire. If this was in Queensland, I'd be very heavy on the Reds, but because this is in Sydney, the Tars are definitely in with a sniff, and at 245 odds, I wouldn't laugh at anyone for taking them for the upset.
Do you see this as like a extra game for State of O?
Ooh.
What do you mean?
Wow.
What?
Maroons versus New South Wales?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's rugby.
Yeah.
So could you...
Are you going to add
class
this?
it? Yeah.
You're going to add this to the series, so whoever wins this...
I mean, there's always been a grudge match. I remember watching Lottie and Wendell when they were playing. They absolutely hated it, considering Lottie used to play for New South Wales too. But that grudge still, that fire was still there, like it was a State of O.
They do. Once you cross the border, there's some very, very, I guess, vociferous fans.
Huh?
Whoa, explain.
What would you say? You'd say passionate fans.
I was going to say, that sounds like something you pick up in Hamilton, apparently.
Please send all complaints to Talk Sports. The views of Ben Sill are not necessarily shared by those here at the TAB.
Could you see this as a game very similar to State of O?
I could see it in intensity. Yeah, not quite at the same level as State of O. And I think that the State of O, they sort of get away with a wee bit more than they do when they're playing at just the NRL level and also at Super Rugby level. So I would
mean some like cheap tactics and.
I would just say that if the line is here for NRL, then the line is here for State of O.
Okay. Anyway, I think this will be
back to the game.
If the Tars going by how they've been playing at home, I see it should be a win for them. But the Reds, they haven't been too bad. There's a few games that they've lost that they shouldn't have let go, to be honest, and which has put them in a position where they actually need to get these last four rounds done, three rounds to get the dub. So I think this will be a pretty tight game because both teams will be gunning to make playoffs.
Righty-ho. The match of the round, definitely for Kiwi fans, and it's a top-of-the-table clash. Crusaders hosting the Chiefs. Crusaders, $1.77. The Chiefs, $1.97. They're 1.5 point favourites, the Crusaders. The game total is set at 56.5. Surely this is a huge, huge game. Look, both teams are going to be in the playoffs come the business end of the season, but this is almost for home field advantage throughout.
Yeah, this is a home final on the line potentially. That's what it could come down to, is this head-to-head matchup. And man, like if you are the Chiefs and you say you could host the final or have to go down to Christchurch and play the Crusaders in the final, you don't need any more motivation than getting the win this week to ensure that doesn't have to happen. The big one for me is Damian McKenzie. I was looking at the injury report. It says hand returning soon. If that soon is this week, then I do think there could be a little bit of value around the Chiefs there at that $1.97, like you mentioned. Again, I think this one is going to be either team within 7.5 points, try-bet type of option. I expect it to be a really big and tight game. Crusaders at home, that certainly gives them the advantage because of how strong they are there. But like Damian McKenzie in the 10 jersey, he would then become the best 10 on the paddock. And like our great mate Jeff Wilson always says, in a tight game, you back the team with the best pivot. And that would be a tick in the Chiefs box. So, yeah, interesting to see this team named. Etene Nanaisatoro is also due to return I believe, either this week or next. And he's almost the forgotten man. His versatility will be massive for the Chiefs too, and the X factor he can bring late in the game. So, yeah, keen to see these two teams lineups, but it's a bit of a fence sit at the moment for me. A Chiefs alternative line, I think, is the way to go on your Tuesday if you're wanting to get in early.
He's almost a forgotten man because of just how well everyone else has been going while he hasn't been there. But he will be a big, big addition if indeed he does a play this weekend. But the bookies are struggling to separate these two. They've obviously given the advantage to the Crusaders because they're playing in Christchurch. Can you see the Chiefs getting up here?
Yeah, well, it depends. Like, would you rather rest them an extra week to get them right for playoffs, or would you get them in this week, knowing that you've got the week off after that? So it's a tough one. But I think if I was coaching, I'd probably keep them out purely because you've got the chance to host a playoff game. And it's a chance for the boys to grow from there in case back end of the stage of the season, say he does pick up an injury, at least you've got those boys that have had that chance to play against a top quality team like the Crusaders, which no doubt can potentially happen. So, yeah, it depends on whether the Chiefs want to rest them for another 2 weeks, get their hand absolutely right, rather than try and force them to get in and it adds to the recovery side of things. But I think this is an opportunity for them to still play without him and let him rest and give those boys another opportunity to play against a quality team like the Crusaders. I know the Crusaders, I think they've got a couple of tough games as well. I think their last round is against the Brumbies, but it'll be good for them to sort of give D-Mac that opportunity to take care of that injury, that hand injury, and get him 100% right leading into playoffs, because that's when you're going to need him the most.
Righto, final game of the round, and it's another Australian derby. The Force hosting the Brumbies. The Force, $2.45. The Brumbies, $1.50. I think we're getting the $1.50 on the Brumbies because this game has been played in Western Australia. They're 5.5-point underdogs, the Force at home, and the game total set at 57.5. The Brumbies have won 4 of their last 5. The Force have only won 1 of their last 5, plus a draw against the Hurricanes. They're a lot better team at home than they are away. Can you see the Force upsetting the Brumbies here?
I was just having a look at their home record, and it is good, isn't it? So they deserve to be closer than, I guess, $3 outsiders just off the fact that it's in Perth. But, yeah, I think that recent run of form that you mentioned there for the Brumbies is going to be too good. And I think we mentioned even at the start of the year in the preview that they're a team, you blink, all of a sudden come the business end and you realise, oh, shit, the Brumbies are in third, like they always are. And that certainly happened this year too. For some reason, they just fly under the radar, and I think it's just because of how consistent they are. But, yeah, I'll be backing the Brumbies in this one. Again, though, I expect all 4 of these games to be reasonably close this week. I don't think there'll be any blowout scores. And I think the Force could keep this within, 14 or 15 points. I think it's going to be right on the edge of that 13 plus.
The Force, look, they're only just outside the top 6 at the moment. They've been very, very good at home. Can they stop this Brumbies juggernaut?
I think they can get the dub, but it's not going to be easy. Like, they've actually got to be smart with how they play against the Brumbies. Brumbies got some attack power in their back line, not only that, in their pack as well. So it's about hopefully they can contain that and then create the opportunities for themselves. I expect Tizano to at least get 1 meat pie this week, if not 2.
2.
He was denied one, another one last week.
Exactly.
But I think their strength has been definitely them more. Tizano's been at the back end of most of those, and it wasn't him as well. I think the reserve hooker or the hooker got a chance to get a meat pie too on the weekend. But their more is pretty deadly if they get it right and moving. I'm not saying that Brumbies aren't good at defending it. they used to be pretty solid themselves when it comes to the rolling more. So, but I think it'll be, like Shirley said, it'll be tight, and I'm guessing I want the Force to get the win.
I can't remember. It was a few weeks ago when I think Goldie said for one of his bets, I'll take the starting Brumbies hooker to score a try. And I think he went off early on, and the reserve hooker came on and scored 2 tries. So his theory was correct. Unfortunately, the starting hooker didn't stay on long enough for that to reap rewards. So having said that, let's get to some betting right now. And we'll start with Surly first. Surly, where are you going to go with your $100 this weekend?
Well, I've come up. I need to win some Johnny Cash, so I'm going to walk the line, lads. And I've been talking about it in all of my previews. That's exactly what I'm going to do here. Alternative lines in all 4 games as a combined multi. So I'm going Tars plus 11.5 against the Reds, the Drua plus 12.5 against the Blues, the Chiefs plus 9.5 against the Crusaders, and the Force plus 14.5 against the Brumbies. That gives me $3.23. I'm chucking all hundy on it.
Yeah. Pity.
Ooh.
As we speak live, none of the teams have been named, of course.
And you know why Pity's struggling? Because there's no Canes, no Moana. So his Moana 13 plus and his Canes to win are gone.
Come on. I'm going to go with the hooker for the Blues, starting hooker for the Blues to score a meaty.
Who do you think it'll be? Riccatelli?
Oh, yeah, it has to be Riccatelli, wouldn't it?
I'd say so. But anyway,
the starting hooker.
Yep.
Into shooter.
For the Chiefs?
Yep, for the Chiefs. And then Tizano. And I'll put 50 on that. And then I'm just going to put 50 on the Force head-to-head.
$2.45.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to have one bet. I'm going to go for the complete round, and it's going to be an away, look away. All the away teams to win this weekend. Blues, Reds, Chiefs, and Brumbies. That comes out at $6.20. I'll put the whole 100 on. All of the away teams winning this weekend.
That's nice.
Boom. Righty-ho.
Show off.
Silly.
Show off.
Yeah, let's wait until next week.
Show off.
Who we got this weekend?
We've got the bye. So boys won 80-5 last week against Kumu and then had a bit of a bonding session. So good on them. And then we've got the bye this week. And then next week we play North Shore, who haven't lost a game in 3 years, down in North Shore. That is going to be the one that everyone is up for. So looking forward to that.
You were quite close to them last year, weren't you?
Yeah, we lost by 2 points, and then the year before we lost by 1 or 2 as well. So we always give them a good run.
Yeah.
But 3 years is a very long winning streak. So I think the rest of the competition will be cheering for us, and sure we'll be out to defend that.
Oh, so we've found out who the evil empire is in Harbour Rugby.
Yeah, them in Takapuna, it's literally the toss of a lightsaber, mate.
No,
Yeah,
Takapuna are the Jedis.
You're Darth Vader, mate. Don't you worry.
Pity, what are you up to this weekend?
We've got Hastings boys coming down. We're playing their first, seconds in the under-15. So watch a bit of that, and then watch my youngest boy play rugby for Petone. And then my eldest boy get a chance to play for Wellington College under 55 kilos.
Oh, wow.
And he's only year 8.
What is it? I don't know what it is.
It's Form 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he's not quite at college, but he wants to give it a bit of a crack. So
cool.
Been lucky enough that colleges allow kids that want to play up to have that opportunity.
Right, no, that's it for another edition of the Pick and Go podcast. Thanks for tuning in and watching. And don't forget, we'll be back next week with another edition of Pick and Go.